Simple ways. I'm gonna call it right now. This just wasn't a good episode for me. It has many moments, sure, but ultimately it's a stupid bore fest based on an idea the writer was trying to think of. And I don't even care to talk about this episode in the slightest. There really isn't much for me to say here.
Gotcha!
Ow, my back! Hi, Mage.
What you doing?
Reviewing an episode.
Oh, what episode?
Simple Ways from Josh Haber.
Oh, that episode.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one for me to talk about. Maybe you have something to add here, and perhaps maybe we could just review together?
Sure, why not? Are, you going to get up?
Just give me a minute. Whoa!
There!
Okay. Simple Ways is nothing more than a stupid love triangle, and if you want my opinion, I don't care about love triangles. However, I wouldn't go as far as to rank this as low as some of my most hated episodes, because I know that there are those who are into romance stories or what have you. That, and I don't want to go over the roof until time passes by. But even in that regard, you cannot begin to tell how much I found the episode to be utterly stupid.
You can hardly call this a romance episode though, since there was no romance involved. Just a stalker stalking a pony who's stalking another pony and everyone's being dumb. Nothing romantic whatsoever. But anywho, let's start from the beginning.
The episode starts off with a voting election on who will set up a festival, and Rarity is elected. As usual, she goes with a fancy, upper-class style. And in addition, Trenderhoof is visiting Ponyville for the event. Rarity, for forced reasons, has a massive crush on him. But after his arrival and tours with Rarity, Trender is largely fascinated by the cultures of Earth ponies. After setting Hoof in Sweet Apple Acres, he spots Applejack and then develops a crush. Rarity gets upset, and that's when everything goes downhill.
Actually, I have several problems with the episode already, even before it goes downhill. I'm sure everyone already noticed, but why so many parties, Ponyville? It's like they have nothing better to do with their lives. And why is Rarity giving Ponyville a high society look? I know it's her thing, but that's not only costly, but it's also assuming that a small town like Ponyville is willing to look and act like something they're not and never were. Also, what's with the word chic and Rarity? First it was hotel chic and Rarity takes Manhattan, now this. Oh, but all of this is just little nitpicks in comparison to the next point I'll make later.
This was briefly pointed out by Joshua Scorcher, and to be honest, watching the town folk presenting various events don't seem to bother me that much. Yes, there's a lot out there, but I'm not in the slightest bit overwhelmed by them either. As long as the narrative and the story are presented well, that's all that matters to me. And that isn't the case here. My first issue with this episode is that Rarity and Applejack get smacked with the idiot stick, or at least for the most part Rarity. Applejack is obviously not as interested in Trender as he is with her. She's also aware that Rarity is in love with Trender. Let's not forget that Applejack has been the voice of reason in the past, most notably when she spoke to Rarity in Sisters Social. But in this episode, Applejack does nothing to solve the problem. She doesn't talk to Rarity about her desperation for Trender and reason with her. And because of this, Rarity gradually changes herself for Trender's sake. Because Trender is fascinated by the cultures of Earth ponies and labor, Rarity moves closer and closer to it, and then breaks away into being a Southern stereotype. I don't think I've cringed so much when seeing her in her final form.
Rarity is embarrassing to watch in this episode. Hey, GoldenFox, remember Prince Blueblood? Remember how Rarity was fangirling over him? How he was a stallion of her dreams? Also, remember how she had some common sense to eventually realize that Blueblood was another jerk to her and she shouldn't bother with a pony like that? Remember when she had dignity, pride, and standards? Notice how she's liking those here? I mean, Trender is obviously not into her and is ignoring her straight out. Rarity isn't the sort of lady to lower her standards and change who she is just to get some guy's attention. Isn't that why so many people started loving her? Because she's not the stereotypical fashionista girly girl that's all about getting her man's attention? I'm not the one who should judge if Rarity is in or out of character here, but I can safely say that this Rarity is not the Rarity I like seeing in the show.
Pulling 180s, I presume? Yeah, that's no surprise here after what Corey did with the Wonderbolts. My next issue, however, is Trender. It isn't that he's popped out of nowhere for Rarity to have a crush on, nor is it bothersome to me to have someone assumingly thought he was racist, if that's a word that even adds here other than exaggerating or being a stalker. Trenderhoof is a fucking moron. He's clueless, he speaks and acts without thinking, and he's just overall annoying and uninteresting. It's also irritating when you make someone like Trenderhoof a hipster stereotype and frame him the wrong way. If ideally you want to purposely make a scene that's over the top, silly, or unthinkable, it's a little delicate as to how you manage it, and so far, that wasn't the case here.
A lot of people may disagree with me, but I didn't dislike Trenderhoof so much. Now, that is not to say he wasn't an idiot in this episode, but who wasn't really? He just had the unfortune of being a one-off character in a mediocre at best episode. I think what they were trying to do with Trender was an adorable guy that a bit naive and out of touch with reality, but not inherently a bad guy. Sure, his Applejack obsession can be several kinds of creepy, but AJ was too busy rolling her eyes and mumbling snark to actually tell the clueless guy to his face that she's not interested and that he should stop because she's uncomfortable. He happily listens to Rarity's advice at the end of the episode, no reason for him not to listen to AJ. Now, to her credit, Applejack did initially try to tell him his company was not exactly welcomed, but it was sort of interrupted by Rarity and wasn't exactly direct.
So instead of talking to either Rarity or Trender in advance, we come to the final act of when Rarity is an utter southern stereotype, as I pointed out, and Applejack reveals an address which many call her Apple Jewel. Oh shit! Don't mind that, folks. Now, a switcheroo concept doesn't sound too bad of an idea, and a majority of the act plays out decently. Some people found this to be funny, and admittedly I can understand that, but I didn't so much as laugh at the scene. But at the very least, I could see what Josh was trying to go for here. Unfortunately, while Applejack tries convincing Rarity of who she should be, it almost feels like the two of them were against each other given how mawkish they were acting. I get that it was the real intentions, but when seeing Rarity change her personality, and let's not forget dressing up Apple Bloom in southern clothes when in actuality she already is a southern character, it almost threw me off guard. But it also begs the question as to why a love triangle was even necessary to begin with. Anything could have resulted in having their personality switched around as having the moral in that you shouldn't change yourself for the sake of others. I don't want to go against having relationship plots, but at least it could have served a better purpose.
The argument between the two was hard to watch for me. I would never expect to either of them, both ladies who value their pride, to stoop so low to a kindergarten-level argument. It was meant to be funny, to make the audience laugh, I get it, but that's the problem. They made a joke at the expense of the characters. It feels like most of Season 4 is like that, valuing the jokes above the characters, changing what we know about them just to make the jokes work. That's really sad, you know?
Despite some moments the episode has, it is dull, uninteresting, thin on its plot, and just overall feels sloppy. Some scenes are just uncomfortable and moronic to watch, as others are there just for the sake of laughs. But what's disappointing to me is that it's all what it was trying to go for despite its intended message. There's nothing really refreshing about it, nor is it handled very well either.
This episode is just another step for MLP into becoming another generic children cartoon. Its gags are dumb, predictable, and have been seen executed in many other pieces of media in similar ways. It brings nothing new to the table, and it throws in several unnecessary elements into the mix, causing confusion, such as, why pick the party organized just 3 days before the actual party? Parties that big take longer to organize and prepare for. In addition to that, Rarity spends all her time chasing after Trender to properly prepare for the party. Her friends keep reminding her of the time. It'll only be natural to see her fail at the party planning in the end, but no, it goes off without a hitch.
Mage?
If the time limit was that unimportant, why have it there at all? Why have her friends fret about the limited time if everything is perfect in the end anyway? Why can't our heroes sometimes fail and learn the lesson from failure? Why is it Rarity the one delivering the moral to Trender while she was the one who was supposed to learn their lesson?
Mage.
I hated how the end is so ideal with everything coming out okay. That's not how the world works. Not ours, not theirs. There is consequence to your action, and sometimes discovering something within yourself or realizing you've made a mistake and saying sorry is not enough. You should pay for your mistakes because sometimes it's just too late to fix the problem, and you have to learn to live with it.
Mage!
Huh?
For fuck's sake, your Lethal Aurora was showing.
Has she? Sorry, but yeah, I didn't like this episode.
The background. Hold on a second. There. That's better. Now, I am aware that there's a good number of people who actually enjoyed this episode and got some good laughs out of it. In that case, that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. In fact, if you are a fan of this episode, check out CellSpex review on it. She's a lot more positive. So until next time, thank you all for watching. And Mage, thank you for providing me your insight. Mage? Mage? Annie Pony?
No, Spook. Thanks for having me, Goldie. Bye-bye.
Don't mention it.